Welcome, everyone, to the Industry Cloud Platform What's New April 2026 release webinar. My name is Ray Chirole, and I will be your host today. We're hosting 3 sessions in this series, each organized by a theme, so it's easy to follow along. This session, number 2, titled Integration and Automation, we will cover API Gateway, Backend as a Service, BaaS, ION, IDP, RPA, and Notification Center. If you didn't catch our last session, session 1, Data and Intelligence, it's now available on the Infor YouTube channel. Before we jump in, a quick disclaimer. This session is not comprehensive training. It's a high-level overview of what's new. For full release training and deeper enablement, please refer to Infor. Our target audience today is admins, developers, super users, the people who work with this solution every day. The goal is to give you a clear heads up on what's new and how you can apply it. If at any point any presenter references future plans, including timelines, features, or capabilities, those are subject to change. The agenda timings shown are approximate and based on where we are in the session today. In session 1, we covered data and intelligence, including AI, Burst, Data Fabric, EPM, Gen AI, GRC, IPI, and IDM. If you missed it, the recording is now available on our Infor YouTube channel, so you can watch it anytime and share it with your team. And looking ahead to session 3, we'll shift to UX and application development. That session will cover Mongoose, OS Portal, Mobility, Security/IFS, and Health Service, with updates focused on the experience layer and the tools that support how people build, work, and interact across the platform. We're super excited. The Infor Hackathon is back in 2026, and we can't wait to do this again. Last year was a huge success. We had strong participation from our customers and partners. The energy was incredible, the ideas were bold, and the solutions people built were genuinely impressive. We selected winners across the tracks, and they didn't just walk away with bragging rights. They received prizes and were recognized live on stage at TechX in Orlando, Florida. Seeing those teams celebrated in front of the TechX audience was truly a highlight of the event. Now we're ready to raise the bar in 2026. And just so you don't miss it, registration opens May 1st and runs through June 1st, 2026. If you've been thinking about joining, now is the perfect time to start forming a team, brainstorm some ideas, and get ready to build something great. If you want to keep the momentum going after today, the Infor YouTube channel is a great resource. That's where we publish webinar recordings and short, product-focused sessions you can easily share with your teams. A few of the latest include how to leverage the power of OCR with IDP, getting started with Infor Mongoose, and managing APIs with API Gateway. Just scan the QR code on screen to check them out, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. The Infor Developer Portal is the place to go if you're building integrations, working with APIs, or extending your Infor environment. It's packed with documentation, API resources, guides, and tools that help you move from idea to implementation faster. And make sure you check out the developer tutorials. They're step-by-step, practical how-to guides designed to help you learn by doing. With clear instructions you can follow at your own pace and apply right away. We're also actively working on adding more tutorials, so you'll see new ones showing up soon. One last quick plug. The Infor developer community is the best place to connect with other developers, customers, partners, and product teams across the Infor ecosystem. It's where you can ask questions, share what you're building, learn from real-world use cases, and get answers faster than going it alone. And after today's session, it's also where we'll keep the conversation going, including posting follow-ups like Q&A and related resources in the appropriate product forums. If you're not already active there, I highly recommend jumping in. Now to our first presentation, API Gateway, followed by Backend as a Service. In these segments, you'll see the latest updates and key enhancements included in this release.
Hello everyone. Thanks for joining the call. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on your time zone. Welcome to What's Webinar call. Today we are going to discuss about API Gateway and Backend as a Service, which is known as BaaS. I'm a product manager associate at Infor, primarily responsible for the API Gateway and Backend as a Service. So, to provide a summary, what exactly the enhancement we have developed. From API Gateway, we have developed adoption of health service in the API Gateway. And from the backend as a service, we have did disaster recovery, which is a Cassandra key space recovery in the BaaS SDK, where you can retrieve or you can recollect your data up to last 30 days using 8bean UI. And we also have iPaaS connectors from the BaaS. So before we jump into the features, I just want to give a quick overview of my product, API Gateway. API Gateway is an essential component in entire API ecosystem, where it is in a single entry point for all Infor APIs, ensuring unified, secure, and optimized communications between the clients and application services. And it also adapts and applicable in different topologies, such as hybrid cloud environments, to provide a complete API orchestration, and also provides a different types of policies, such as transformations, quota policies to enrich request and response patterns. And API Gateway alone come with tools such as monitoring, detailed monitoring, auditing, notification for efficient API management. API Gateway also has rate limiting, throttling, and unified base URL. Now, discussing about the feature. So in API ecosystem, there is no 100% guarantee that all APIs will be succeeded. There will be a sometimes where API failure occurs, and we have classified the API errors into two types. One is proxy and error target errors, where proxy errors are errors which comes from the external facing or from the customer to the API gateway, and API gateway will throw the error back to the customer or the client. And target errors are primarily when any request that comes from external facing or client to the API gateway, and API gateway forwards that request to the target endpoint and throws back a response, then that is known as a target error. So previously, whenever we used to have this complexity challenge, everyone used to do is log analysis and find the root cause, and this increases the downtime sometimes, and it is SLA risk. So to reduce this, we have bought a new feature which is a health service adoption in API gateway. And once any error that occurs with that can be proxy or target, which is a 4xx or 5xx, a notification service will just trigger an email to the owner or admin of the suite. Just we will demo this feature now. For your purpose, I have created a suite. The suite is health service demo. And previously we used to have only one under the monitoring, which is the API transaction search, which gives a quick overview what target, what is a client ID, or who made a request, and details such as what suit or something. But we also added a new section, which is the health monitoring rules. And here previously we used to publish only for info provision, info non-provision, and non-info suits. But now we can see for different suits like info provision, non-info provision, BaaS, API flows, and custom suits, which are also known as non-info suits. And you need to search your suit here. For my case, it's a health service demo, and it will be publishing here. We are providing a suit name and API context, and here we have two different errors which I previously mentioned, which is the target errors. Target errors can be have both 4xx and 5xx, and whereas a proxy will only have 4xx. And this is a master toggle. If you are disabling this or enabling this, this will change across all the suits in this tenant. But if you want to make a specific change, it is always advisable to you to search your suite under this and make your changes here. And once you make a changes, you can go and you can save here. And once you save, automatically there will be context-based rules are being created in health service. And you need to navigate back to the OS and go to the health service, and you can find a three resources name which has been created along as the suite context name, which is the API 4xx, proxy 4xx, API target 4xx, and API 5xx, target 5xx. So you can go here and extend that section, and you can apply your rules. Now, this is a since it's an API proxy 4xx, any error that is between 400 to 500 status code and having a minimum occurrences of 500 within the last 5 minutes, you will be automatically notified by notification center. And if you believe that 403 or 404, like 404 is like whenever an URL is not found, it's not that critical to notify, or any 403 which is unauthorized, or you such don't have a official or authorized bearer token, then this errors can be ignored. You just don't want to notify this, then you can exclude this and just save your rule. And also this is this now after applying these changes, you need to go to the user settings, and here you will be having a health notification, and you need to select an application as API gateway, and you need to enable this toggle such as send email and notification center. And this change is only applicable at the user level, not at the tenant level. So who is able to apply these changes or to on or off, they only can be notified the notifications. And you will be getting any notification like this: what happened, what is the source of the problem, and a high level overview what exactly happened in the last 10-15 minutes. Now I'm going to discuss about backend as a service. Backend as a service is also an essential component in entire API ecosystem that's offering by Infor. So BaaS is a comprehensive API lifecycle management where you can build your solutions, test your solution, and deploy your solutions to the cloud infrastructure, where where the developer can solely focus on developing a business logic, not worrying or mostly worrying or seeking a interest in the configuration or deployment. BaaS also provides managed store service, which is a S3, computation, security, execution patterns with a difference such as synchronous, asynchronous communication, and to scale the solution into the cloud native functions, which can be exposed under the API gateway under the suite as a BaaS. Now, if we are discussing about the features, main feature that we are rolling out in the April is a disaster management for the API key space recovery, which is also known as Cassandra key space recovery. So previously, as you all know, in BaaS, the customers are the owners to manage their database, including creating or updating or deleting the tables. If suppose if someone accidentally deleted or modify the important business data, which can be result in permanent loss. So earlier, if someone want to restore the data, they need to write a script or a API where they can retrieve all the data using a BaaS SDK in Visual Studio Code. But however, we got to know that it's always a complex for an administrators to write a logic or write a code. So instead of that, we have developed a native UI in the BaaS admin UI, where admin can just go and apply the options and retrieve the data. The maximum time where the retrieval data can be taken place or restore can be taken place is up to 30 days, or where the last date can be up to table creation. This process will take at most 20 minutes to create a restore point and to retrieve the data. So this feature protects the customers from permanent data loss due to accidental deletion or error, and it allows quick recovery without needing a developer tools or backend support. And coming to the iPaaS connectors are one of the main important feature that we are rolling out, where previously whenever anyone want to create any data flows in Ion, they need to do the lot of configurations, And it is, if someone want to create or a data flow with a third party integration, they need to set up a manual setup and do some custom development or develop a logic which is a high cost, which cost high implementation and inconsistent approach. So now we bought a native UI integration in data flow where BaaS can be seen, and you just need to develop your logic in backend as a service, and you can call that in the data flow. But the data flow in the data flow, you can apply the BaaS in the initial or the final position in the data flow, because it is due to the asynchronous process. It's a primarily for the event driven architecture. So whenever any event occurred, automatically BaaS can respond and take a action on that. It's not a feature, but it's a cool news or fun news for the customers. We have extended our capacity, BaaS capacity, execution capacity for the BaaS. So previously we used to provide only 60 minutes. Now we have extended up to 240 minutes per day. And previously, when a customer purchases a BaaS license, they can get only 1 million API calls. But now we have increased up to 2 million API requests per day. So this is the reason why you can build your solutions and develop your custom logics or complex workloads and experiment with the new solutions, which can be accelerate and develop a new ideas at a fast pace. And also, to inform, we are including 1 unit of BaaS in Velocity Suite. Anyone purchasing a Velocity Suite, they will be also get 1 unit of BaaS in it. Now, if I go to the demo, in API Gateway, you will be having a backend as a service. You need to go to services. And for the demo purpose, I have created this test service, which is a table test. And you can open this. And we have features like queue, storage, APIs, which is a different type of features, like key value store is a Cassandra, and Ion. This is primarily for the iPaaS connectors. And since this is a Cassandra key space recovery, I just want to focus on that. You can go to the Cassandra, and this section is only visible who has a role entitlement Ion BaaS data administrator, Ion API BaaS data administrator. Here you can go. For the demo purpose, I have created two tables. And if I select this table, it's just loading. And we can see different types of data like timestamps, primary key, and composite keys, which is having a different type of data. Now you can go to actions, and you can create a restore point. If suppose our latest data is on 8th, which is today, and someone have accidentally deleted your data or did some catastrophe for your data on 6th, but you want data from 5th, you can go here, you can create a restore point up to, I want to create on last 5th of this month, and I will be applying this change, confirm, yes. And it will ask to, are you sure to create a restore point? You can say yes. And it will take almost, and you can see a success toast, and it will almost take 20 minutes to create a restore point. Once the restore point is created, what you can do is you will be getting an enablement for this option, where you can enable this option which is called as a restore table, and it automatically restores your data there. So this is the experiment on BaaS Cassandra key space recovery. Now, if I go to iPaaS specifically, we developed this solution, and we also provided an example. How can you do a solution using iPaaS? Then you can go to the board under this examples project and go to the board. You will be having two types of programming languages, which is a Java and TypeScript. and you can just take whatever your favorite programming language and experiment, and you can build iPaaS solutions in data flows or whatever. So overall, this is the key features that we are rolling out from API gateway and backend as a service. If you have any queries, please let us know. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Ion. In this segment, you'll see what's new in this release and the key updates being introduced.
Hello, my name is Daniel and I'm a product manager for Infor OS Platform, including Ion, API Gateway, and Backend as a Service. And today I will give you an overview of some enhancements we are delivering in April 2026. And first of all, let me give you a quick overview of Infor Ion. As you know, Infor Ion is, as I said, Infor Ion is a part of our iPaaS platform, and the main goal Info of Ion is to bring data from A to B. And this data can be appended, transformed, mapped, or split along the way. And Ion, for Ion, it doesn't matter where source of data or target data is deployed. So Ion is uh, deployment agnostic. It means that we can work with data on-prem and in a cloud, so we can take data from on-prem database and send it to the cloud. And as well, Ion is application agnostic. It means that we can work not only with Infor applications, but with any application, third party, deployed again in a cloud or in on-prem. So, and today I will give you an overview of some features. And I will start with re-authentications for Ion tasks. Then I will overview a new type of connector we have in Ion, iPaaS connector. And then I will give you information about generative, how we can use GenAI to generate or refine Python scripts in Ion. And I will cover new use cases for the health service. And some improvements we made as well in April 2026. We updated supported database drivers for our database connector, and we adopted a new product, notification center, and this product will be highlighted in a separate session. Let me start with task re-authentication. So in April 26, we added a feature to be able to re-authenticate tasks from Ion workflows. So we have requirements from some federal agencies like FDA or other governmental institution. So in some cases, when a user do some action on a task, approved or reject, this user should re-authenticate him or herself. So it's a requirement from these agencies. And in Ion, we added this functionality in April. And let me show how it works. So in workflow, when you create a workflow model and when you use task or task chain, and when you click action tab, here we added a new checkbox, enable re-authentication. This checkbox is available only for custom actions, not to default one. And when you enable this checkbox, then when task is assigned to you and you want to approve, in this case, approved or reject this task, the system will ask you to re-authenticate yourself. It means that you're basically signing this action you do, approve or reject. So when you start a workflow and you have a new task, here in a new inbox, here we have two actions, approve or reject. And when you click any of this action, we show the screen to re-authenticate. So you need to enter your credentials, password, and your username, or use a passkey to authenticate. If you close this window, the task will remain the same. So we will not approve or reject this task. And if you enter your credentials correctly, this task will be completed, approved or rejected. And then when it's done, one of requirements from these agencies is we need to store this information when the task was completed. In our case, it's approved or reject, and what action was made, and who did this action. So you can find this information in activities, here in monitor and workflows, then activities, and we mark this task that demanded re-authentication with this sign, with yellow triangle, and if you open this task, you can find all information here. So we can see that this task was approved, when it was approved, and by whom it was approved. So here you can find all information for these agencies. So the next feature I would like to highlight is using GenAI for script generation. Let me show you how it works. So as you know, scripting is a part of Infor Ion, and you can create any Python script for your purposes, for integration purposes. You can convert XML to JSON or vice versa. You can change the data, append the data using script. And now, and in April 2026, we add a tool that can help you generate Python scripts. I will add some variables for demo purposes. And I would like to emphasize that you should assume this feature as a helper. So in most cases, it will not provide you the complete script that you can use as it is. So in most cases, you will have, you still have to refine the script to make it fit to your use case. But you can use the script to generate a basis script, or as well, you can use GenAI to, if you already have existing script, you can use GenAI to review existing script or refine or suggest any improvements for this script. So when you are ready, here we place a button, Generative AI. When you click it, we show a new pop-up. Here you can put a prompt. It can be any prompt you need. And as well, we added some predefined prompt just to help you to start. And you can upload some data. So for example, in my case, I would like to convert XML to a JSON. Here I have a test XML file, and I would like to convert it to a JSON. So by uploading files, you help LLM to understand the structure of your input and your output. If you need specific JSON, for example, you can upload this JSON here, and it will be used as a schema for output file. I will use this predefined prompt. I'm saying that I will send my XML as an input variable, and I am expecting to have a JSON as output, and it will be sent to output variable. Some instruction, and then you can just click generate button. Okay, the script is generated. If you can review it, and if you are not satisfied, you can clear it and change the prompt. Here we have some overview. The LLM provides you information about the script it generated, and then you can insert it to your script window. Then you can overview it, and then you can do a test. But again, I would like to emphasize it's just a helper. You should see it as a helper to build scripts. Okay, let's jump to the next one. So the next one is a new type of connector we introduced in April 2026. We call it iPaaS connector, and this iPaaS connector allows you to bring services created in a BaaS. BaaS stands for backend as a service, into data flows. But I would like to mention that BaaS is a separate product. It is available, so you can purchase it additionally, or it's included in Wireless Suite package. So let me show you how it works and how you can use it. So as you may know, so the BaaS service allow you to create So the backend as a service as a product allows you to create a custom code in Visual Studio Code, and then you can expose this, your own code and logic as API, an API gateway. So here's the example of BaaS services we have in our environment. So, and when you call this API, so we execute your code you created in Visual Studio Code. And we have some, in BaaS, we have some possibilities. So when you build in code, you can use S3 storage, you can use queues, you can use Cassandra database, GraphQLs, and you inside the BaaS, you can call any API we have in API Gateway. In April, as I said, we added a new type of connector here. If you have a BaaS license, here you will see a new connector, BaaS. You can drag and drop it to your canvas, and you can select here a BaaS service that you already created. And the use case you can imagine, so BaaS service can be used as a webhook. So for example, if you have a third-party application, and this application, when some event happens in this application, it can do a webhook call, and BaaS service can be called as this webhook. So this API we have in API Gateway can be called via webhook. And then basically calling this API, you can start the integration. So then after the BaaS, in BaaS, you can apply your logic, your code, and then you can continue your integration flow by adding necessary components. So the next one I would like to cover is new use cases for the health service. So as you know, the health service is a hub where Infor applications like Ion M3 API Gateway can report, can send events about issues happened in these applications. And every release from Ion side, we try to add more and more use cases. And in April, we are adding use cases related to Enterprise Connector. So whenever Enterprise Connector is going offline, or for example, when Enterprise Connector should be updated, so when the version became outdated, we will send event to the health service, and you will be notified by email or in UI or in your notification center product. And as well, we added some use cases related to file connector, the file connection points that works through the Enterprise Connector. So when you have any configuration issue, so for example, someone renames a folder on FTP or SFTP server, or when file is placed to error location, or when you have connectivity issues with your server. So in all these cases, we will send events to the health service, and you will be promptly notified about these issues, and then you can react proactively. So these all enhancements that I wanted to cover today. Hopefully you find them useful, and as always, we are open to any feedback, any suggestions, and any enhancements from your side. So please feel free to reach us.
Now, let's move over to Notification Center. In this segment, you'll see the latest enhancements included in this release.
Hello, my name is Daniil. I'm a product manager at Infor for Infor OS Platform, including Ion, API Gateway, and backend as a service. And today I would like to introduce you a new product from our team. We call it Notification Center. And during this session, I will give you an overview of a product, why we decided to build it, what we are building, and benefits we are expecting to give you with this product. Then a short overview of adoption status, what application currently adopted Notification Center, and demo of Notification Center functionality. So let me start to answering the question why we decided to develop Notification Center. So with Notification Center, we are trying to address the following challenges we have. So as you may know, at Infor, we have many applications, and some of these applications have their own messaging subsystems. So for example, we have in-basket for HCM, FSM, we have inbox for WFM, and separate inbox for Ion. And in all these cases, users have different experience and different UI working with these applications. And in some cases, we even have different definition for the same term. So for example, task in IAN means differently task in WFM. And of course, for us, it's not efficient to support. Of course, we do not want to provide such an experience to our users. And for us, it's not efficient to support all of this subsystem, messaging subsystem in different products. So this is where idea of notification center came. And we see the notification center as unified business message hub. So with notification center, we would like to provide you its same look and feel when you work with all business messages from Infor applications. We place notification center on a smart panel, so you will be able to access notification center from any page. Then we added some features like preview view and quick actions. I will show you during the demo. And with these features, we're trying to save you time and increase the productivity. We support drill backlinks. So from notifications in Notification Center, you will be able to jump to related page. It may be document or it may be related component in Infor OS or other Infor product. We added some advanced filtering. So users will be able to save to predefine and save up to 20 filters and then quickly switch between these filters. We added notification center widget, so you can place as many notification center widgets as you need on your workspace, and you can apply different filters to these widgets. Well, some widget can show you tasks that should be approved, another they can show some alerts from the health service, and the third some other information. And as you may know, you can predefine filters, you can set the widget, and then you can save these predefined widgets in a widget repository, and you can basically install this predefined widget to any user. Of course, we are making Notification Center to be easily adopted by our own application, and as well we have APIs that you can use to adopt the Notification Center. So if you want to build a widget or if you want to build your own UI, you can use these APIs. We provide in API gateway. And of course, we are considering all challenges we have in our current messaging applications. So, and we consider all this to create application that is ready for new use cases and for the future use cases. Okay, the benefits. So the main benefits we try to deliver you with Notification Center, and of course to improve your experience working with business messages in Infor portal. So to provide you consistent, the same look and feel for all messages you have from Infor applications. And with some features, we hope we can enhance productivity and save your time. Now, let me give you an overview of adoption. So currently, Notification Center is adopted by following applications. So it's Infor Workforce Management, WFM, Infor FSM, Infor HCM, Infor IAN, Infor Public Sector, Infor Health Service, and Infor Go, our mobile application. So you will be able to see all messages from Notification Center in Infor Go if you have installed it on your phone. And now let me give you a demo of the Notification Center. So when Notification Center is available for your tenants, so here, as you know, we have icon for inbox. So basically the idea of Notification Center is that it eventually replaces the inbox, our old messaging application. And here, when it's available for your tenant, you will see try new switch. So by default, inbox will be your default messaging system, but you can switch to the Notification Center by enabling this switch. You can disable it and continue to work in inbox, or you can work in Notification Center. So here we have the search. So in Notification Center, so this is the search. This search is looking is searched not only through visible messages, but through all messages you have in database. So even we are not showing messages here, they are not visible, they still be searched by the application. And we have some helper here. When you start writing in a search field, so you can search in a task, alerts, or messages, or in categories, or everywhere. Then we have filters. I will show you a bit later. You can sort your messages. And we have three types of messages. So we have task, alerts, and messages. So task, it's something that you should complete. So you need to do some action. So approve, reject, or just done. Alert can come from Ion monitors, and messages is just notification. It just things to notify you. And we have different icons for tasks. They are green one for alerts, yellow ones, orange ones, and blue ones for messages. So here we have quick filters. As I said, we added a preview view. So when you click any message, we show you a preview view first. So on preview view, you can see the header, when this message was created. In some cases, we can provide priority. If it was assigned to you or unassigned, you can do it right from here, assign or unassigned. Then we provide, here we have a place for 4 parameters. These parameters comes from application. So for example, when you create a workflow model, and you can put workflow parameters to your task form, and we show here first 4 parameters. So basically, when you create a workflow model, you can control what information will be shown here to users. And in some cases, this information is sufficient to do some action, to approve, reject. So for example, here I have a task, and in my case, these 4 parameters may be enough to do some actions, to verify or return this task back to requester. So here in preview view, we can show up to 2 actions. So if you, as you may know, for example, in Ion, you can add as many actions as you need, but on a preview view, we will show you up to 2 buttons. And again, you can decide when you create a workflow model, we show the first 2 actions. So you can decide which actions should be shown here. We as well here have here a category. And if you need more details about the task, here we have a button, open details. And then it will be expanded, and you will see the screen. In this case, the screen from Ion workflow. Here we have some additional information about the task. You can minimize them, or you can just, if you a bit increase the size of the smart panel, so we, instead of preview view, we will show you detailed page. If you collapse it, we will show you preview view. So notification center support bulk actions. So you can select several items and do action on these items. But you can do actions for similar types of actions. You cannot do action if you select, for example, task and notification. But if you select 2 tasks, you can do some actions on this task. For these 2 tasks, I will explain how it works. So for this task, I have 1 button, done button. For this task, I have 2 buttons, return and verify. So the one common action that I can do for both these tasks is just to unassign or assign to me. And for example, I have another task. Here I have done button. So if I select this one, then I can assign, unassign, or do a done action for both of these tasks. Okay, so let me show you filters. So when you click filters, as I said, we support, you can save up to 20 filters. And if first show you click the saved filters, and this filter will be applied. Then you can drop this filter by pushing this cross. If you want to create a new one, you need to switch to new filter. Here you can use message type as a filter. You can use as a filter, or you can use just any text we have in a task, message, or alert. So for example, I have a customer Acme, and I can use this as a filter for my filter. You can use assignment status, priority level, escalation, due date, archive. I will tell you a bit later about the archive, date range. And if you want to save a filter, you can just put a name and save filter. And then it will be available here. From this page, you can change the filter, edit the filter, or you can delete the filter, or you can apply. So here I have filter, and here it use Acme, so the parameter to filter our messages. So in Notification Center, we have an archive. So here we have additional filter, archive. You can apply this filter, and then you will be able to see archived messages. So, but Notification Center has separate archive from application. So for example, in Ion, you have own archive. In Notification Center, it will be separate archive. Here you can see the read-only information about task, alerts, or notifications that were completed by you. So here I see some information that I completed task, and when I completed this task, and what action was performed. I can see the details. If this task is still available in Ion, I can see information, read-only as well. If this task is deleted from Ion, I will not be able to see this detailed information. So, as I said, we support drill backlinks. And for example, here I have some messages came from health service. So the service is our new application, new extension of Infor OS, and we have a separate video for the health service. And the idea of the health service is we have a hub where Infor application, different Infor applications like Ion, M3, API Gateway can report issues that happens in application. In this case, and these messages can be shown in Notification Center. So here I see the message came from the health service, and I see that I have some issue with my connection point. And right from here, from preview view, I can jump to this connection point where issue happened, and I can do a test. I can have additional information, and I can fix, if possible, this issue, and then I can remove this message from Notification Center. And when I mark it as a read here, it will be marked as a read in the health service. We have a mobile version of Notification Center in Infor Go. So all messages you have in Notification Center will be available, and you will see the push notifications in your mobile Infor Go. So Notification Center will be available in April 2026, and we hope that you find this product useful. And of course, we are open to any feedback from your side, any improvements, suggestions, or anything you would like to tell us. So please feel free to reach us. Thank you.
Switching gears to IDP. In this segment, you'll see the extension of capability for document processor flows in this release.
Hi, my name is Rohan Somasundaram. I'm a senior product manager in charge of Infor Document Processor, and this is going to be an overview of extension capability for document processor flows, or DPFs for short. Now, extension capability in document processor flows adds a bit of conditional logic into the DPF so that you can deviate from the standard procedure of a document processor flow. So just to set it up a little bit and give you an idea of what I will demonstrate in a few minutes here, When using a document processor flow, there are times where a user may want to deviate from the norm of how a document processor flow operates. A classic example of this is invoice processing. Not every vendor has the same exact document format or document layout based on how they may send invoices to an end customer. In this case, it's largely flexible because Gen AI is the backbone of how documents are extracted using OCR. But there may be circumstances where individual setups are needed for particular vendors that have very different layouts for their invoices. And in this case, instead of having to set up an entirely different document processor flow, you can do so with extension capability within the same exact document processor flow. So with extension capability, you would only need to set up one document processor flow and then build in conditional logic or deviations so you're able to then address those vendor differences. This is just an example. It can be applicable for any use case that you may have as part of your OCR technology. So with that, this is allowing for more flexibility and usability with these document processor flows, especially for non-standard documents. Now we'll demonstrate a high-level overview of what this extension capability looks like. I'll showcase first the standard process for a document processor flow, and then I'll show with the same document how you can use extensions to deviate from the norm with the document processor flow within the same DPF. So with that, let's go to our environment. You can see here, this is the overview screen for Infor Document Processor. To demonstrate this capability, what I'm going to do is set up a new document processor flow. So we'll go here, click Add, and we'll set up a document processor flow for extension capability. We'll select Next and add a document class as part of this panel. So I do an invoice classification document class for this demonstration, and we'll use a pre-built model. We'll use this one right here. That way, for the sake of time, it adds all the entities here for me within this document class. So you can see these are 28 standard entities that you may come across when looking at an invoice that we would want to extract from that invoice. So you can see things here like the buyer name or invoice number or delivery numbers or invoice date, so on and so forth. You can see here on the right-hand column, the far right column, there's this key identifier column here. This is where you can select key identifiers that you then have extensions to add conditional logic to based on what you would want to for the document processor flow. So for this iteration, we'll leave all of these blank. We'll just do a standard extraction of an invoice, which we will show you. I'll go to the next panel and add in document classification and entity classification for this flow. We won't make any adjustments to the prompt in this iteration. We'll just select Next, and then we'll save this as an active document processor flow. So with that, let's go to the overview panel, and then we will try this document processor flow that we just created. So let me upload this invoice here, and I'll show what this invoice looks like. This is an invoice, pretty standard invoice, that is a generic Infor M3 distribution invoice for the sake of demonstration. You can see here invoice number, invoice date, due date, all the standard pieces of content that you may find in a particular invoice, the amount to be paid in euros, as well as other customer and payer content. I want you to pay close attention to this delivery number, because this is what we will be using for the demonstration purposes of this DPF for extension capability. So this delivery number 3283, pay particular attention to that. So we can see here that now this invoice has been extracted via IDP. You can see the document class is invoice classification. And you can see the invoice that I just showed here on the left-hand side. If I go to the entity section, you can see all the entities that have been extracted. Things like the billing address or the buyer name and the currency in euros that I had mentioned previously. But I mentioned to pay close attention to this delivery number. This has been extracted as 3283 as expected based on the invoice. But what if for the ERP system of record, the ERP is expecting a 6-digit delivery number, just for the sake of example? So in this case, this is 4 digits. Say we wanted 6 digits to comply with how it's set up in the ERP. Again, just for the sake of demonstration. Once you see this, you will be able to extrapolate and get an understanding of what you can do with extension capabilities within document processor flows. So to make this 6 digits, what we will do is we'll just append 2 zeros to the beginning of this. So instead of 3283, it'll read as 003283 to comply again with the ERP system of record. So in order to do this, we can use extension capability. So we'll demonstrate this now by going back to the document processor flow that we had set up, which is this extension capability for DPF. We'll select this and go into this document processor flow, and we'll create a new version to demonstrate and illustrate extension capability. So the base version we'll use is this V1 that we had just created minutes ago. We'll select next. But now within this invoice classification document class, what we will do is select a key identifier. In this case, let's select the vendor name as the key identifier. So for this particular vendor, in this case, it's Infor M3 distribution, so on and so forth. For this particular vendor, we want to have the delivery number as 6 digits instead of 4. They send it as 4 digits, but we want 6 digits for the sake of compliancy within the system of record. So we will select this as the key identifier for this as the vendor name. We'll hit save. And then we will go to the next. We'll leave this as is and go next again. Now here in the prompt section, because we added the key identifier as vendor name, we can go to the entities. Now this will always exist whether or not you select a key identifier or not, but subsequently you'll see once you select an extension, so one of the entities for extension, you will see an option that is the key identifier that you have selected. So let's go in and have a look and see what that looks like. So in this case, if you remember, we selected vendor name as the key identifier, with the vendor name, again, in this case being Infor M3 distribution B50 BBB. So let's just copy this right now. And we'll go to the delivery number that we want to adjust. So let's find delivery number right here. So we'll select this plus icon for the extension. And here you can add some conditional logic. So you'll see here I can add a condition, and this vendor name that I selected previously on the document class portion under the key identifier, I can select this vendor name. And if the vendor name equals that vendor name that I'd shared previously, Infor M3 distribution 50 BBB, if that equals this vendor name, then I can insert 2 zeros in front of the delivery number. So here, if this vendor name comes through when the document is extracted and it's identified, we will insert 2 zeros in front of the delivery number to make it 6 digits instead of the 4 digits that were sent in. So let's save this. So you can see here now I've made an adjustment to this entity with an extension. You could think of this as essentially adjusting the prompt or giving some additional flexibility into the prompt based on, in this example, a particular vendor that may do something differently than the norm. but this can be used for other use cases as well. Gives a little bit more flexibility when configuring and writing out the prompt for the document processor flow. So in this case, now we will go next. And we'll save this one as the active version. V2 will now be the active version, which we can see here. And we'll test this out now using the same invoice that I had shown previously, and we'll see whether or not it adds 2 zeros into this delivery number. So let's go ahead and upload the same invoice and see the results. So now we can see that this invoice has been again extracted. We can see here again, we have an invoice that has been classified. The invoice is here on the left-hand side. This delivery number within the invoice has not changed. But if I go to the entities section and I go to the delivery numbers, previously what had showed as 3283 extracted directly from this invoice now reads as 003283 because I added an extension within the document processor flow for this particular vendor. If I had a different invoice that was not from this vendor, that conditional logic or extension would not apply, and then it would extract directly based on the delivery number that read in the invoice. But again, because I added conditional logic or an extension to the prompt, this alters it slightly to give compliancy for the system of record in this illustration. Again, you can do this for any use case that you see fit that requires extension capability for a particular type of document from a vendor, for example, or any other document that requires this additional logic that deviates from the norm. This is an overview of extension capability within IDP, a nice feature that allows additional flexibility within document processor flows without having to create a new document processor flow for situations that are not the norm. Thank you.
To wrap up this session, we're moving to RPA. In this final segment, you'll see what's new in this release and the latest enhancements being introduced.
Hello everyone. Welcome to What's New in RPA session for April 2026. My name is Rashmi Yadav and I'm the Product Manager Associate for Infor RPA. Today, I'll walk you through the most exciting features that were released as part of April 2026. With that, let's get started. Before deep diving into enhancements, let's have a quick recap of what Infor RPA is. So Infor RPA lets you automate business processes that are repetitive, rule-based, high-volume, and time-consuming tasks that are manually performed by your employees. But with the help of bots or software bots, you can automate these processes into standard business process. What makes it more powerful is its hybrid architecture, which includes RPA Studio and RPA Management. RPA Studio is the desktop based tool which is the integrated development environment which lets you design, prototype, and test your business processes. We have RPA Management, which is the brain of the solution in the cloud within Infor OS. RPA Management lets you manage, schedule, and monitor business processes along with the Review Center, which is our new enhancement and which works as a human in loop in the entire automation lifecycle. Along with these components, RPA works as a complete ecosystem from designing your prototypes in RPA Studio, deploying them in the RPA management, executing the jobs via serverless or server based execution modes, validating the business exceptions in the review center, and to improve your business process continuously. With that, here is the list of the enhancements that we'll be talking about today. So Review Center was introduced in last October 2025, and I would just want to have a quick overview of this one. Review Center is an intuitive interface which lets business users to review, modify, and reprocess their exceptions in the documents that when incomplete business process instances happen. What do I mean by that is, for example, You're running your invoice processing in the IDP using OCR engine and the data is not extracted correctly. In that case, your automation jobs fails and the outcome is that you have an incomplete or missing values in your extracted data. This makes it a perfect example for a review center use case. To enhance the user's experience in review center, we have introduced edit and lock mode in RPA management. So the problem with the existing process or implementation was that there were multiple users who could edit a single document at a time, meaning there was no consistent owner of the document. Also, there was confusion that which version of the document is the final version. To remove this confusion, we have introduced edit and lock mode in the review center. What it does is when a user explicitly works on review center documentation, they have to click on the edit button. In that case, the document is in the edit mode and then only you can edit your fields. You can update the fields in the same edit mode. What happens for the other user is the document presence is presented in a lock mode. That is, you will be seeing a message or toolbar at the top of your documentation saying that this document is being edited by the other user. So this enhancements prevents the multiple users working on the same document at the given time. It gives a rightful owner to a documentation, and the final version of the document is always there. We'll have a demo for this at the last. Next, we have directly open RPA processes. So this one is introduced in RPA Studio, and think of it as a direct integration between RPA Studio and RPA management for your RPA processes. So, what I mean by that is, suppose an RPA developer is working on an editor or target tenant, and in the current process of exporting and importing the zip files or managing the multiple versions of a same process, they had to do a lot of manual work. And this becomes a problem when you're working with a lot of environments. We are working with a lot of zipped files. So, to remove this confusion, we have introduced the new option in Open Project in RPA Studio where you can open a process with its available versions along with the global package namespaces associations. So it is a dialogue based experience where you will click on this option and it opens a dialog box. You can browse all your processes present on that tenant and you can start working on this one directly. Let's have a demo for this one. To open your processes, RPA processes, you need to come to RPA Studio, click on Open Project, and you will now see a new option that says Open from Mastermind. When you click on this option, the dialog box opens and it shows you all the available processes as you can see now here with its available versions along with global package namespaces, the date it was deployed on, and the final status. So for our demo today, I'll use the process. I'll use this process. You can see it has all the versions that are there available on my environment, and at by default the latest one is always at the top. I can click on this option and click on open, and it says the process was successfully downloaded. Now you don't have to maintain all these files in your local machine. You have the access of the tenant, you have the access for this RPA process, RPA Studio, and you can directly open this. I have this process and I can edit it, I can modify, I can make these changes and publish on the environment. When I publish it as a new project, I have two options. That is, I can either save it as a current version that I selected. It will override the current process. But if I want to publish it as a new project, I have a new option that is save as a new version where I can see major and minor options. So major is, so when you're working on an editor tenant, it will allow you to update the versions from major and minor, that is first two digits. And when you're working on a target tenant, it will always let you edit the last version, that is the patch version. So so for our demo, I will publish the major version and it will publish it. This was for Open RPA Studio. Next one is edit and lock mode. So to come to RPA, to come to Review Center, you need to go to Monitor, click on Review Center, and you will be directed to the homepage of the Review Center. I have already selected my use case that I want to present for the demo, and that is Review Center Demo Invoice. And you can see in this option, we have two categories, that is extraction and validation. And each one has the specific number of documentations. Let's see the edit and document mode. Let's see the edit and lock mode. If you can see, this document is already in the lock mode and you can see a small icon and it says locked by Rashmi Yadav. Uh, for the other user, how it will look. For the other user who comes to the same documentation, you can see it is in the lock mode. That is, they cannot edit. They don't have the right functionality here, and the fields are grayed out. And they see this message that says this document is currently in use by another user and cannot be edited. In case a document was edited by the user, is out of office, or is not available, RPA admins can remove the edit option. Now let's see how the edit option works. I have selected my invoice number 12.345. If you see, I don't have the option to edit right now, but you can see a new option. So click on this edit option, you will have a dialog box. Click on yes, and now you have the options to edit one. I will change the invoice number from 12 to 15.45 and update the fields. It shows the validations. So I can click on the edit button and I can change the invoice number and click on submit. And that's how you will edit your document and keep it in the lock mode. And that's it for the demonstration today. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks everyone for joining us today for session 2 in our Industry Cloud Platform What's New April 2026 release series. We hope you found the updates useful and something you can apply. Please join us for our next session, UX and Application Development, on Thursday, April 30th, 2026 at 11 a.m. Eastern. We'd love to have you there. Don't miss next month's webinar, Getting Started with AI. It's planned for late May on May 28th, and the exact time may change, so keep an eye out for the calendar invitation. Good night and have a pleasant tomorrow.